Good morning, everybody. My name is Deborah Byrne from DBpsychology Services, known across social media as DBpsychology. Today I'm going to talk about this week's blog, which is all about being a new parent and self-care, getting some self-care as a new parent. And I know people are going to go, what the hell are you talking about? You haven't got any time when you're a new parent. Yes, I do know that. But you need to carve it out, and I'll explain why. So if you want to check out this week's blog, it's over at www.DBpsychologyservices.com, and you can check it out over there, along with all my other blogs that I have. I think there's well over 100 now at this stage. So self-care, new parent, you become a new parent. It can be lovely, and for some people it isn't nice. It's a mixed bag of emotions. Across the board. For different people will have different reactions, and I will explain that in a few minutes. But the one thing that it's going to happen is, for everybody, is that it creates an identity crisis within you. You have to change. You're no longer who you were. You're no longer that, particularly on the first child, you're no longer that individual, with your responsibility for yourself. Maybe you have a partner, your responsibility, maybe you feel responsibility for them, but you no longer have that. You now have this small infant that requires 24/7 care. There is no time off for good behavior. There is no time off. You can't just hand them back and say, yeah, I need a break now. It's 5 o'clock, I'm going home. It doesn't work like that. As anybody will tell you, any parent will tell you, it doesn't work like that. And you change. You're now, this requires you to change. So it requires an identity shift. You will have another one later on in life when your children leave home. You need to change the way you interact with them, and you need to change, how things happen between you. So it creates another bit of a crisis later on in life as well. So for now, you've become a new parent, and the one thing, they don't come is with a manual. They don't come with a manual, they don't come with sudden inspiration as to how to raise them. And so we will revert back to how we were raised. And that in itself can cause some problems and some friction within the relationship, because maybe your partner wasn't raised the same way you were. They may not have the same ideas about how children should be raised. So that should be worked out between you before you actually have, if you can at all, before you have a child. So you're going to revert back to the old way, your parents' way of doing things. And self-care, the term even self-care, didn't exist back then. It just didn't exist. Family came first, children came first, particularly for mums. Family comes first, children come first, relatives come first. You may be looking after, your parent. You may be of that generation where you're looking after a parent, and an elderly, grandparent or an aunt and an uncle maybe that didn't have their own family, and you were left to care for them as well as your own children. So self-care, particularly for mums, and I don't want to leave dads out of this, was non-existent. So that is what you grew up with, and that is what you learned. Now, in order to change that, we have to make a very, very conscious decision to do that. We have so much more information that's coming to us, and we realise that parents need at least 15 to 20 minutes a day, and a bit more at the weekends, but at least 15 to 20 minutes alone time. They need to, take themselves out and away and just get some mental downtime away from kids. And I will come back to that now shortly. Parenting is very, very hard work. It is emotionally and physically hard work. And it can be very, very stressful. And you need to take time out for yourself. Just purely on the stress alone, you need to take time out for yourself. Your kids will benefit. You need to learn to take care of you and put yourself first. And people are going to scream at me now and go, you can't be putting yourself first. You got this child needs to be looked after. You cannot, as they say, you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are not looking after you, if you are not taking some time out for you, if you are not, keeping in touch with some of the things you love, And you will lose yourself, and that has happened to an awful lot of us. You lose yourself, you can lose yourself into parenting. And then when the kids grow up, you don't know who you are anymore. You lose that sense of identity. And also you can lose your relationship because you throw everything into the kids. You're working, you're trying to pay the mortgage, you're trying to pay the bills, and any time you have it's out of work is focused on the kids, and you don't put any focus on the relationship. You need to invest in the relationship. You need to invest in the relationship. You are modeling good, healthy skills for your kids if you take time for yourself and if you take time for your relationship. It is good, healthy boundaries is what you're setting, and that is what you need to do. Now, let's get into a bit more of this. In terms of nurturing your relationship, you need good communication. And a very, very important point about self-care as a couple and self-care for the individual is to support each other. Because there will always be somebody who has an opinion, not necessarily just the mother-in-law, but there will always be somebody who has an opinion as to how you should raise your children. And no matter how much difference you have as a couple raising the children, you work that out together in private or you work it out with a therapist, you always present a united front. You always have each other's back when it comes to your family members and the extended family. You always have each other's back. If you want your relationship to survive, if you want to nurture that relationship, good communication and having each other's back, particularly around, kids, you'll always have that interference from other family members, and maybe neighbours or somebody else would interfere. You always have to have each other's back. The most important thing from this week's blog is when you become a new parent, you have to allow yourself time to adjust. You have to have patience with yourself, and you have to give yourself time. Don't be rushing back. Don't be rushing back and thinking you can do the things you did before, because you can't. It's not going to happen. You will fight against the system, if you like, and say, oh, I should be able to do everything I did before I had this child. And that's just not possible. It really isn't possible. Yes, if you choose to work, go and, you want to work, that's fine. You're going out to work. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about expecting yourself to have everything perfect, to have the nights out, to do everything you did before is just not going to happen. Something has to give. And finding that balance is really hard. But you need to find the balance. You need to find the balance in order to have some time for yourself and to nurture your own identity. But you need time. You need to allow time to adjust to that. You need to allow time to adjust to being a parent and what that means to you and how you will raise your child, and getting to know this new individual who has come into your life and that loves you, and you need that time. So, important part of that would be to ask for help. If you need help, take time out. If you need time out, then, you need a nap. Take that time for a nap. Ask, a relative or a good friend to mind the baby for, an hour or so. And to allow yourself to ask for that help. To allow yourself to ask for the help for, you want to have a date night. Then ask yourself, allow yourself to take that time to out as a couple and to adjust, because you're both going to need to learn to adjust to this as well. It's not just you adjusting to being a parent. It is your partner's going to have to adjust to their role as a parent as well. And you need to still connect as a couple. So asking for help is important. One is to ask for help for time out so you can do something for yourself. As I said, still nurture your own identity and some of the things you like to do. And two would be time out as well for you as a couple. But also if you get into trouble. If you feel things aren't right, trust your gut instinct and always ask for professional help. Now, here I would like to highlight baby blues, which is quite normal. Baby blues happen about 3 days in and can last I would say up to a maximum of 2 weeks. Okay, so about 14 days, between 3 and 14 days after you give birth. That is normal for a mum to get that. It's your hormones. It's to do with the drop in the hormones after you give birth, and you can feel down after the elation of giving birth. It's very normal to feel down for a number of days. There is another thing that can happen to mums, and that is postnatal psychosis, and I have listed that out. I've linked out to a blog for that. So, something you need to be aware of. They don't talk about it in the antenatal classes. They don't, it's very rare that they would talk about it. The other thing I would like to highlight for couples, because it can happen to mums, dads, even if you adopt a baby, it can happen, is postnatal depression. So if you feel that after the 14 days things aren't picking up, or you as a man feel that you have become depressed, or you're down or anything like that, please go and ask for help. Because there is such a thing as postnatal depression in men and in people that adopt. So be aware of that they're not talked about enough at the antenatal classes. It's certainly not talked about enough about even within the professionals. But there are support groups out there for men and women online, and there are, your GP would be your first port of call, and, get help, please, get help. So if you need professional help, please ask for it. Now, taking the time out, you need to have your basic self-care, adjusting to sleep. Sleep is so important. We all need sleep, and it's going to be hard particularly those first six weeks, probably the first 6 months. Sleep is going to go out the window. Sleep when the baby does, and don't feel guilty about it. For God's sake, do not think you have to do the housework while the baby's sleeping and you've only had about 2 hours sleep the night before. Forget the housework. This is where you ask for help. You can't keep up with the washing. Somebody offers to do your washing. Yes, please. Say yes, please. Somebody you can't, cook a meal for you. Yes, please. Say yes, please. Go have a nap. It is so important to have a nap and sleep when baby does. People say that to you all the time, but you have to actually do it, and that is hard. Okay, you're going to feel guilty. It's normal to feel guilty about not keeping on top of the housework, not keeping on top of the laundry, not keeping on top of, cooking the meal and having everything ready. And baby looking perfect. You look Okay, let go of the word perfect. Absolutely right now. Let go of the word perfect. It does not exist. If you see people posting on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all these fabulous pictures, that is not the reality of the situation. If you see celebrities doing it, they have half a dozen people helping them. Somebody to cook their meals, somebody to help them exercise, somebody to do their hair and makeup, somebody to look after the baby. They're not losing out on their sleep, okay? That's how they look that good. It's not perfect. You can't do that as an individual parent. You just cannot do it. Let it go, and sleep when the baby does. Taking time out, as I said, parents need 50 minutes on a daily basis to take time out. You can combine that. Get outside in nature. I talk about getting outside in nature in the blog. You can combine your 15-20 minutes. Just get outside for 15-20 minutes. Get away from the baby. Get away from the child, and have a bath outside in nature. 15-20 minutes of meditation. 15 or 20 minutes of pillow screaming, if that's what it needs that day. Because I said to you, it's stressful. Being a parent is stressful. If you need to scream into a pillow, go and scream into a pillow. Take that time for you. It's so important to reduce your stress levels. You're going to be so much better when you come back. You're going to be so much better and so much more engaged with the child when you come back from that. Eating regular meals, that'll go out the window initially when you become a parent. You'll be eating on the run, particularly when you go back to work too. You're going to be eating on the run, and getting a nutritious meal into you is going to be difficult. So plan for that. Plan and organize. If you get organized, it can be so helpful. Rope your partner in. You don't have to do this alone. You're not a single parent. You have a partner. If you have a partner, rope them in. Get them to be doing, helping with the chores, helping with, helping with the child, helping with the meals. Somebody else offers, as I said, somebody else offers to do something for you. Take it. Say yes, please, and take it. And don't feel guilty or selfish or anything like that. That is not selfish. That is good. That is good basic self-care. And as I said, getting organized helps. It really does, particularly if you're transitioning into, going back to work. Being organized really does help, and I've listed how you can do that. But the big thing I would have to say to you is review your priorities. Making that adjustment, as I said before, making that adjustment into being a new parent, it creates the identity crisis. And as I said, something has to give. So therefore, reviewing your priorities and learning to let stuff go is huge. I have a review chart that you can use, a review questionnaire. If you go to my resources page, there's free resources there. And one of them is to review your priorities. And I'm going to leave it there at that. And, just take care as a new parent. Give yourself time, as I said. Give yourself time and let yourself off the hook. Let yourself off the hook. It's so important. It's just so important. And be good to yourself, be kind, and have a great weekend. We have a bank holiday weekend here in Ireland this week, so have a good weekend, and I will talk to you all next Saturday morning. There's a new blog coming out on Monday, and thank you all to my regular listeners for paying, for turning up as usual on a cold and wet bank holiday weekend this week. Okay, so I leave it there, and I will talk to you all next Saturday, and enjoy Monday's blog. So as I said, if you want to check out the blog, www.deborahbyrnepsychologyservices.com. There's loads of parenting blogs up there at the moment. And as I said, there's well over 100 main blogs, so I think there's something up there for everybody at this stage. And I will see you all again next week. Goodbye.